Those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and all-knowingness, may they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Bodhi. O Mother, sentient beings, limitless as the sky, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path. Liberation and all-knowingness, may they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Bodhi. All Mother, sentient beings, limitless as the sky, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and all-knowingness, may they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Bodhi. Thus, until I achieve Buddha, I engage in virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Until death, I engage in virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. From now until this time tomorrow, I engage in virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. In the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, most excellent, I take refuge until is reached by the merit of generosity and other perfections. May I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all wandering beings in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Most excellent, I take refuge until Bodhi is reached by the merit of generosity and other perfections. May I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all wandering beings in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Most excellent, I take refuge until Bodhi is reached by the merit of generosity and other perfections. May I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all wandering beings. May all Mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, have happiness, and the causes of happiness, may they be liberated from suffering, and the causes of suffering, may they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from the bias of attachment, aversion. May all Mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, and the causes of happiness, may they be liberated from suffering, and the causes of suffering, may they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from the bias of attachment and aversion. May all Mother sentient beings as the sky, the causes of happiness, may they be liberated from suffering, and the causes of suffering, may they never be separated from the happiness that is sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from the bias of attachment and aversion. Lord Vajrasattva Tilipa Naropa Marpa Milarepa Kampopa Pamodupa Jikten Sumgön, Venerable Guru possessing the three kindnesses, rude and lineage gurus, idams, dharmapalas, pray, please bestow blessings on my mind stream, unequal refuge, ornament of the world, whose renown parades the three thousand worlds, the undisputed conqueror Vajradhara, I pay homage to you, the Father Jikten. You alone are continually on my mind. Compassionate one, please grant your blessings, dispel the darkness of my mind. Please bless me to realize the mind free from elaborations. On the northwest border of the land of Udiyana, in the heart of a lotus flower, endowed with the most marvelous attainments, you are renowned as lotus born. Surrounded by many hosts of Takinis following in your footsteps, I pray to you, come inspire me with your blessings. Guru Pema Siddhi Hum. In the Dharma Dhatu Palace of Akarnishta is the essence of the Buddhas of the three times, who directly reveals my mind as Dharmakaya, O root Guru. At your feet I supplicate. So today we will do the Achi sound offering. So you can think of this Achi sound practice as the outer aspect of cleansing, removing stains and pollution. Then the very short practice of the confession of the Bodhisattva Downfalls, which is also known as the 35 Buddhas practice, as the inner cleanse. And then the Vajrasattva cleansing, but the sattva clearing, 100 syllable mantra meditation as the inner cleanse. So the outer, the inner, and the secret. This is one way to kind of bring those three practices and give them kind of, a cohesive understanding, so that the outer cleanse is the cleansing of more substantial, in a way, contamination that arises. Often it is said that those types of contamination arises due to superstitious thinking. Superstitious thinking arises from us, being suspicious mind. Some of us have stronger suspicious mind than others, but we all have suspicious mind, because don't think, not having suspicious mind, therefore not having superstitious mind. You think, oh, I'm doing well. Well, it just means that, things are going relatively well for you. You don't live in a place where, there is cause for suspicion, but it doesn't mean, the seed of suspicion is not there. It's just, put into the right or the wrong conditions or environment, they come out. So this outer cleanse, is to cleanse that kind of things, and then to give us, some peace of mind, some confidence, right? So important thing is, when we do get the peace of mind and do get the confidence, then we have to do something with it. Right? It's not just, getting peace of mind and getting confidence and then, okay, done. Then, then you're just having to do this again and again and again and again, and not directing this to a greater purpose, which is we clear, we dispel this hesitancy, we dispel, confusion mind, superstitious mind, suspicious mind, so that we have a better space for deepening the Dharma. And deepening the Dharma, of course, the outer reference to deepening the Dharma is an increased kind of interest and confidence in engaging in formal Dharma study, Dharma practice, right? But even those things, as important as they are, right? Like you feel like, oh, I'm motivated to do this weekday thing, or I'm motivated to attend weekend programs whenever I can, or even, oh, I'm motivated to go on pilgrimage to the sacred sites to receive transmissions 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month, 2 months. So all of that is obviously good and part of the supportive conditions. But until all those supportive conditions actually lead us to, right, removing our confusion, removing mental defilements, removing afflictive emotions, then even all those indicators, even all those methods aren't really doing their job. Right? And so it still has to finally point to the inner aspects of cleansing. So it's the confession of the Bodhisattva Downfalls. So seeing the unskillful activities, unskillful actions of body, speech, and mind that we engage in that damage our bodhisattva vow, damage our bodhicitta. And then from there, we go into a more subtle level of understanding the more subtle obscurations that needs to be purified and can be purified through engaging in the Vajrasattva Hundred Syllable Mantra meditation. So these are the 3 levels of cleansing, of removing. In the classical Indian Buddhist texts, there are 3 kind of, according to Tibetans, they say when you look at the classical Indian text, and there are 3 different kind of positions that you could hold with regards to what is the nature of the problem and what is the solution. And so they say one is the one that says you need to remove right, the obscurations, and these obscurations are absolutely real. So then you have to work very hard to remove them. Second view is you purify, what we call purify, but increasingly I like the word you clear. You clear the kleshas, you clear the afflictive emotions. And this one is different from the first one in that this clearing has the understanding that, in fact, the afflictive emotions, the mental defilements, are not ultimately real. They are only temporarily arising, and therefore they can be cleared. And the third one talks about like realizing or recognizing the Buddha nature. Now, of course, ultimately, it's all 3 of these, meaning the Buddha gave us these 3 ways of understanding and relating to what the problem is and what the solution is. As in the end, the Buddha is not having like 3 different positions. And the Buddha is communicating the same thing but depending on the listeners, he spoke in one way or another. So sometimes, it feels like we need to relate to these mental defilements and recognize them to be very real, so that we can take them seriously, so that we can arrive at the second position of understanding it as clearing, that in fact they don't have substantial existence, they are only temporarily arising, but nonetheless needs to be cleared. And then finally, also to this third understanding of, in fact, if there's, in fact, our basic nature is Buddha. And the more we can kind of see this basic nature, the more we can live this identity as Buddha. So all three are useful viewpoints to have, depending on our particular situation, which viewpoint we need to adopt. So anyway, now the Vajrayogini, I arise as Vajrayogini. So this Achi Sang practice is done from the position of yourself as idam. Even though the words here says, I myself, I arise as Vajrayogini. If you're unfamiliar with Vajrayogini, any idam identity is the same. So meaning you should at least, understand that our nature is already free from the things that we are going to cleanse now, free from the things that we're going to clear away now. And so that's part of kind of the tension or the irony of this, that we are already fundamentally clear and pure, but yet there are things to clear and purify. I am Vajrayogini, instantaneously above my head is protector of the three worlds, Ratnashri, abiding naturally as the Nirmanakaya. From the Bham seed syllable in my heart emanate Ram Yam Kam, that purify all the impurities and stains of the offering substances. Then the syllables Ahung emanates, which transform the immaculate essence of the offering substances into the nature of the elixir of primordial wisdom, turning then into substances that are agreeable to each of the types entirely, filling the limitless 3,000-fold universe. Om Ahung, Om Ahung, Om Ahung. Nama Sarva Tathagate Bhayo Bisha Mukebhya Sarvata Kang Ungate Sabbarana Hemangagana Kang Soha. Nama Sarva Tathagate Bhayo Bisha Mukebhya Sarvata Kang Ungate Sabbarana Hemangagana Kang Soha. Nama Sarva Tathagate Bhayo Bisha Mukebhya Sarvata Kang Ungate Sabbarana Hemangagana Kang Soha. from the innate nature that is spontaneously present since the beginning. I invite and request the protectress of the teachings to come to this birthless, perfectly luminous secret mandala, Yudakinis who magically appear from the activity of primordial wisdom, supreme guardians who abide by the command and oath, manifest magical forms from the Dharma, Dhatu, worldly and primordial wisdom emanations and retinue. With your heart, Samayas roused, please come here from the expanse of the excellent azure space ablaze with turquoise light, specifically from the azure crag of Mule Aturdum, great elder sister Achi Nangza. Please come here to remove venomous enemies and obstructors, magical apparitions of elusive forms emerging from the sphere of primordial wisdom, other deities, exalted activities, wisdom, samaya, and magnetizing, guardians of the conqueror's teachings, each according to their own type, retinues of pacification, enrichment, magnetization, and destruction. Cries of longing yogins calling out like a dragon's roar with welcoming substances, silk ribbons and hands beckoning. I bring forth offering clouds of cleansing smoke and ocean of elixir due to your samayas. Come here to this place of unsolid samaya, samajaja hum pam ho alala ho e bhagavan akarasaya samhaya ja. Shri Goddess, Lady of Space, along with your entire retinue, please be seated happily, each according to your like. I bring forth oceans of offering clouds, both physical and visualized. With devotion I praise and pay homage with body, speech, and mind. Here now at this place and in this supreme year, at this excellent juncture when the planets and stars are in favorable positions, with the aspiration prayers of all majestic foe destroying Buddhas for the exhaustion of degenerative factors, may I achieve in its entirety the true meaning of this life as I make this cleansing offering to you, deities. Now let ghosts, demons, mishaps, and obstructors disperse to their own abodes, cleanse and purify obscurations and impurities, cure with various supreme medicines that clear the afflictive emotions, fine as silks, jewels, incense, and aloes wood, sandalwood, cedar wood, fragrant fir, juniper, dwarf, rhododendron, birch, and so on. All these types of fragrant and ambrosia woods, flour, buttermilk, and various types of food and drink, We make all these clouds of pervading smoke of this cleansing offering. For you, glorious root and lineage gurus, we cleanse. For you, Idam Vajrayogini, along with retinue, we cleanse. For you, protectress of the teachings, chief lady of space, Jukidroma. For you, exalted activities, Dakini. Wisdom Dakini, Samaya Dakini, and magnetizing Dakini, and for you, the three goddesses who devour, slay, and snatch away. We cleanse heart-shaking mother and raise her to the life force. Wrathful red mother of exalted activities, along with retinue. Along with all your assemblies of thousands of dark red flesh eaters, for all you Matrikas and Dakinis without exception, we cleanse. For you, the powerful Lady Tashitsering of the supreme crystal tresses of the Himalaya. For you, goddesses of the four families, the five sisters, consort, and retinue. And you, 12 Tenmas, along with your retinue, we cleanse so that the Gowe gods and the multitude of family guardians, the guardians of the precious teachings of the Kaju and oceans of sworn guardians, protect us, the Samaya keeping yogins, we offer this cleansing. As this touches the deities and us, the evil of defilements from Samaya breaches, defilements from violations of vows, quarrels, filth, and demons, those coming from contact with corpses, rape, incest, infidelity, and fouling of hearts, all these foul defects are cleansed, and we thus become pure in this way with this profound ritual of bathing in cleansing smoke. The guardian deities are pleased, violations and breaches are mended, all obstructive and discordant conditions are quelled, and all our wishes that accord with the Dharma are abundantly accomplished. Here now with lofty praises to the guardian deities, glory to Choki Brahma, with these outer, inner, and secret support substances. Glory to Choki Droma, with these various desirable offering clouds. Glory to Choki Droma, with music of devotional songs of praise. Glory to Choki Droma, with mantras, mudras, and samadhi. Glory to Choki Droma, superior to the pinnacle of cyclic existence. Glory to Choki Droma, brighter than the sun and moon. Glory to Choki Droma, good as wish fulfilling jewels. Glory to Choki Droma, full like a summer lake. Glory to Choki Droma, to spread the never waning teachings of Buddhas. Glory to Choki Droma, to guard and fulfill the ultimate accomplishment of disciples. Glory to Choki Droma, may the guardians and humans not be separated. All the excellent glories, wealth, power, and blessings of the animate and inanimate, of the environment and inhabitants in samsara and nirvana, I now bring together deep and rich in presence, prosperous fortune flowing like an ocean, by the great might of all you guardians. Guard the jewel of the essence teachings, increase, develop, and stabilize the holders of the teachings. For us who are unending and our retinue, increase auspiciousness and resources in our abodes. And when we are away, repel all bandits and hostile forces, dispel harmful gossips and laws. Now and in the time to come, spontaneously bring about all these Sanje Guru Rinpoche Ngode Kunda Deva Chimpe Sha Parche Kunze Dudu Tapo Se Sobo Deso Jinje Lamdo So Jinang Sangwe Parche Shiva Samba Langye Drupra Jinje Lo Dusun Sanje Guru Rinpoche Ngode Kunda Deva Chimpe Sha Parche Kunze Dudu Tapo Se Sowa Depso Jinje Lamdo So Jinang Sangwe Parche Shiva Samba Langye Drupra Jinje Lam Dusun Sanje Guru Kunda Deva Chimpe Sha Parche Kunze Dudu Tapo Se Sowa Depso Jinje So what there's a ginger love is a general somewhere projection somebody ginger and to soon and wonder conduct the watching pressure. Project considered the doubles, so what there's a ginger love to so somewhere projection, some parlance, ginger and to Sanjay good and bunch. Ngadu kunda dewa jimpe shan parche kunsan du du tapo sa sowa depso jinje lam depso chinang samwe parche shiva da samba lungye tubra jinje lo. Guru Rinpoche, Buddha of the 3 times great bliss, source of all siddhis, wrathful subduer of Maras, who removes all obstacles, grant your blessings. We pray through them, may all obstacles, outer, inner, and secret, be quelled, and may all our aspirations be fulfilled. Lord sublime, precious, venerable, and glorious, root lineage gurus, assembly of Idam deities, Buddhas and Bodhisattvas dwelling in the 10 directions, and all assemblies of Yoginis and Dakinis, please heed me. May the virtues collected in the 3 times by me and the entirety of samsara and nirvana and the inherent root of virtue not result in the 8 worldly dharmas, the 4 causes of samsara, and the resultant states of hearers and solitary realizers. And may all mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, particularly those enemies who hate us, obstruct us, who harm those who create obstacles, maras who mislead, and their Mara retinues have happiness, be separated from suffering, and quickly attain the unsurpassed, perfect, and precious Bodhi. By the power of this vast root of virtue, may we benefit sentient beings with body, speech, and mind. May the afflictive thoughts of attachment, aversion, ignorance, pride, and jealousy not arise in my mind stream. May thoughts of name, fame, gain, respect, and so forth in this life not arise for even a moment. With my mind stream moistened by love, compassion, and bodhicitta, may I come under the care of virtuous spiritual friends, and having become as limitless as space, may I achieve the supreme attainment of Mahamudra in this very life. May, by the virtues collected in the 3 times by me and the entirety of samsara and nirvana, and by the innate root of virtue, may I and all sentient beings quickly attain the unsurpassed, perfect, complete, precious Bodhi. Page 47. So, here Kyupa Rinpoche has just finished kind of that section where he emphasizes the dangers of misusing Vajrayana ritual, Vajrayana practices to further cause harm and confusion. So now he says, moreover, it is necessary to accomplish the power of meditative absorption of the completely pure intention, the two kinds of bodhicitta, free from the three afflictions. The three afflictions are the three poisons. So here he defines, meditative absorption. He says, absorb in what? Absorb in the completely pure intention. What is the completely pure intention? It's none other than the two bodhicittas. So when you look at, for example, Shantideva's famous The Way of the Bodhisattva, Bodhicayyavatara, so even though the chapters are not explicitly laid out as chapters pertaining to the six perfections, the six paramitas of bodhisattvas, in fact, its contents, especially the chapters 6, 7, 8, 9, the titles of chapters 6, 7, 8, 9, they are explicitly corresponding to the last four of the six paramitas. So the first paramita and the second paramita, paramita of generosity, paramita of disciplined conduct, those titles don't appear in Shantideva's Bodhicayyavatara, but they are covered. So the training in disciplined conduct is covered under the chapter of how is it translated? It's translated, I think, like mindfulness and carefulness. And then the training in giving or generosity is covered in the parts where you make all these offerings in order to receive the bodhicitta vow. So anyway, my point is more. So in like chapter 8, where the title is Meditative Concentration, if you look at that, you'll see that in that chapter, the main emphasis there is the opposite of this meditative concentration is a mind that is distracted and scattered. So that chapter emphasizes the need to free ourselves from this kind of scattered mind, distracted mind, and specifically scattered and distracted mind, minds that are scattered and distracted by desire, desiring this and that. Then the opposite of that, a scattered and distracted mind towards objects of desire, is to turn our mind and stabilize our mind in bodhicitta. That's how Shantideva discusses the topic of meditative concentration, meditative absorption. Here used kind of interchangeably, these translations. So here likewise, Kyopa Rinpoche says, when we talk about stabilizing the mind, letting the mind dwell evenly, in an even way, in a continuous way, to dwell in the state of meditative absorption or meditative concentration, he says, but concentrating on what? Absorb in what? In the pure intention, which is the two kinds of bodhicitta. To explain, he says, to explain, someone who has entered into the absorption of the two kinds of bodhicitta attains the power of meditative absorption. So he says, I believe, I don't have the Tibetan with me, but I think here is the term jhana, dhyana, the mind having entered this advanced meditative state. But then he says, but what are we talking about here? Are we talking about, like a turtle having pulled in all its limbs, the world can no longer disturb it, it's in this state of very blissful, like basically saying to the world, get lost, I'm now very at ease and at peace. I don't want to have anything to do with any of you. It says, no, this is the absorption in the two kinds of bodhicitta. Then the mind absorbed in that completely pure intention has a positive effect on the body. He says, a mind that is completely infused with, dwelling in the two bodhicittas, that's the mental, that is the meditative absorption that we are talking about, he says. So in fact, he is saying, it's not this like, tata the world, I am in my meditation now. But in fact, he says, when this mind is actually absorbed, settle evenly in the two bodhicittas, it has a positive effect on the body. How? When it is seen or heard by any being, by other beings, seeing and hearing from this body, a body of such a being. Such a pure body can induce meditative absorption in the mind streams of other beings. This is sometimes poetically called liberation upon seeing. You see such figures, such persons. Even just the sight of them causes the mind to settle, to be at ease. It is like the body of the protector of the world Pramodrupa in these lines from a prayer to Pramodrupa. Merely seeing or thinking of you removes all the barbs of suffering, all the thorns of suffering. Such a body has a positive effect on all outer appearances. Everyone offers everything to someone who has brought the entire world together with his gods under their influence. That is the power of the completely pure intention. So this completely pure bodhicitta in its two aspects. When someone has this, just their presence, just to be in their presence, you can feel a difference. Your mind changes. In summary, it is necessary to accomplish the three: mind, deeds, and results. So your mind, right, needs to be trained in abiding in the two bodhicittas, and that has to translate to your actions, and then it needs to have an effect on others as well. So it's not just like completely subjective to yourself. You know that this is actually going in the right direction when your presence actually can affect change in others. In summary, it is necessary to accomplish the three: mind, deeds, and results of completely pure motivation and free from affliction. Likewise, it is necessary to abandon the three: mind, deeds, and results of impure motivation and the afflictions. There is nothing that is not included in these two: what must be abandoned and the Dharma that is the antidote. So you abandon, again, the non-virtues, and you cultivate, you adopt the Dharma. As Nagarjuna's jewel garland teaches, desire, aversion, and delusion, these are the three poisons, or the three afflictions. Desire, aversion, and delusion, and the deeds they generate, are unwholesome. Absence of desire, aversion, and delusion, and the deeds they generate, these are skillful, these are wholesome. This is what I beg you to understand and follow. Thus, this is the teaching. Meaning he says, so this is the teaching for today. So this is the second of the 30 teachings. We have a little bit of time. We can start on the third teaching. But in case anybody has any questions about so far what we have covered, or so far these two teachings, please know that these teachings are not given in any kind of sequential way, right? It's not like we're building up to something finally go. These are just teachings coming from the heart of Kyoba Rinpoche on various topics, and then overall, if we finish these 30 teachings, however much you can, participate in, you get a good kind of basic overview. Not basic, you get a good overview and understanding of Kyoba Rinpoche's style of teaching and what he emphasizes, and what among those, that we can take and practice. Okay, so the third teaching, the subtitle here is the two kinds of dependent origination. So dependent origination, or interdependent arising, dependent origination, or interdependent arising, various translation. In Sanskrit, pratitya samutpada. This is actually this is actually a topic that Kyoba Rinpoche gives a lot of attention to. This notion of dependent arising, this basic teaching of the Buddha called dependent arising. In fact, sometimes, you could say, like in Tibetan Buddhism, they tend to go into the great teachers, or sometimes tend to go in like this profound teaching, that profound teaching, and they don't seem to give much attention to kind of these more fundamental things that Buddha Shakyamuni taught. But in Kyoba Rinpoche's collected works in 12 volumes, he comes back again and again and again and again to this topic of dependent origination, interdependent arising. Interdependent arising or dependent origination is none other than emptiness. When we say emptiness, we need to understand, we are talking about dependent arising. When we say dependent arising, we need to understand, actually we're talking about emptiness. There are two sides of the same principle that we're talking about here, except different emphasis. So likewise, Kyoba Rinpoche also teach about emptiness, of course, but often he talks about dependent arising. So now let's take a look at this third teaching. Once more, the precious Lama taught the following: the Dharma of the past, future, and present Buddhas, Tathagatas, who abide in the 10 directions and throughout all times, is dependent origination. Tenjing Drewa in Tibetan. So, what do Buddhas of the past, present, and future teach? What is the Dharma that they teach? It is the Dharma of dependent origination. It is the Dharma of pratitya samutpada. There are two, as in two aspects. The dependent origination that is free from the 8 extremes of elaboration, and the dependent origination of cause and effect, cause and result. In some ways here, right, you can understand, he is referring to ultimate truth and relative truth. Ultimate truth is the dependent origination that is free from the 8 extremes of elaboration. And the dependent origination of cause and result, that's the relative truth. Remember, when we say relative, right, we don't mean, in this case, we don't mean, less true. We mean the truth, the reality, as can be seen within the context of subject and object. Within the context of relative reality, where there is me here, there is you over there. So that's the relative truth. The latter is also dependent origination free from extremes. So now he's linking the two. He says, so even this, right, dependent origination of cause and result, what I just said, relative truth, even this latter, this relative truth, this dependent origination of cause and effect is the dependent origination free from extremes. But what arises, how it appears, it appears dependent upon conditions. Make sense? He says there are two, right? There are two aspects to this dependent origination. Dependent origination free from extremes, dependent origination of cause and effect. Normally, when dependent origination is explained, it is only explained in terms of dependent origination of cause and effect. Causality, like the 12 links of dependent origination, the 12 links of interdependent arising. That, in other words, is talking about how things come to be. Here, Kyoba Rinpoche says, how things come to be is also the same principle, the same reality of how things naturally are, which is the dependent origination free from extremes. How things come to be is no different from how things truly are. They constitute the same reality. So here the latter, meaning the dependent origination of cause and result, is also dependent origination free from extremes. But what arises is dependent upon conditions. These two aspects of dependent origination are inseparably united at the time of the ground, the basis, the state of an ordinary being, at the time of the path, during the practice of yoga. Yoga here just means the discipline, the process of practicing the path, and at the stage of result, consummate Buddhahood. So whether at the level of ordinary beings or at the level of the great practitioners, the bodhisattvas on the various stages, or finally at the level of being Buddhas, these two aspects of dependent origination remains inseparable. Both as a description of how things are, as well as a prescription saying you need to understand that these two aspects are two sides of the same coin. It's simply saying, like relative truth and ultimate truth are not two separate truths. They are two sides of the same thing, but now discussed under the topic of dependent origination. So that is their fundamental nature, which is also called space-like cause and result. So here he brings these two together. Often space-like is discussed, this expression is discussed over here. When people talk about Mahamudra, about Dzogchen, about the ultimate state, they talk about the space-like samadhi, or the space-like, truth, or dharmakaya, la la la. Then often cause and result, causality is left over here, sometimes giving rise to this idea that, when you have this space-like attainment, cause and result, poof, disappears. Or, cause and results, cause and result, cause and result, and then forgetting the space-like nature of cause and result arising and ceasing. So here he puts them two together. The space-like cause and result. This is their fundamental nature, which is the dependent origination that is free from the 8 extremes of elaboration and the dependent origination of cause and result. There is no contradiction between these two. There is no contradiction between ultimate and relative truth. There is no contradiction between how things abide, how things are, and how they manifest, how they appear. Yes, there's a question or comment.
I mean, this last sentence might explain it, but he's saying that how things come to be is dependent upon conditions.
Yes.
But how things are is not also dependent upon conditions?
No.
No.
No, it's not saying that.
So that is not dependent upon conditions?
No, it's not saying that.
It's not saying either one?
Yeah, it's not saying what you're saying.
So this is one of those, it's not this and it's not that either.
No, it's just not saying what you're saying.
Well, how are they different? How is it not dependent upon condition? How are
Emptiness is not dependent on conditions.
It just is.
Yeah. Right? I mean, that's the definition of emptiness. You are making another level of comparison. Kyoba Rinpoche is not making it here. Kyoba Rinpoche is simply saying, emptiness and dependent arising are two sides of the same thing going on. Yeah, so then in the context of dependent arising, in the context of like appearances, there you talk about causes, there you talk about conditions.
But it's just not even something you talk about in the case of emptiness. It's not.
Yeah.
It's
not. There's no relevance there. Yeah, he's bridging two other things. You are bridging a separate two. That's what I mean by. No, it's not one of these. Like, neither this nor that. No, it's not. You're bridging something else that he's not bridging here. All his bridging here is that the relative and the ultimate are not two opposing things. Even as we talk about cause and effect, it doesn't cancel out emptiness. Even as we talk about emptiness, it doesn't leave cause and effect over there. That's the main point of this opening paragraph. But instead of using the language of the two truths, he's using this term of dependent origination. Dependent origination and cause and effect. Most people hear that, they're like, oh yes. But dependent origination, free from the 8 extremes of elaboration, many people go, wait, what's that? What's that? So in a way, it's a somewhat provocative statement to identify there is the dependent origination free from elaborations. A stickler, like the Buddhist scholastics will say, by definition, dependent origination is not free from elaborations. Here, Kyoba Rinpoche is purposely using this expression, the dependent origination that is free from the eight extremes, and the dependent origination that is cause and effect. I don't know for sure, but I don't think you can find this expression outside the context of Kyoba Rinpoche. But you will see, like later when he quotes Nagarjuna's famous, verses to the middle way, where there Nagarjuna is saying emptiness is no other than dependent origination, and dependent origination is no other than emptiness. And so that's everybody have heard that. Everybody knows that. Everybody, like in the Tibetan Buddhist world, they know that. They have heard that. What they have never heard is dependent origination, free from the eight extremes, free from elaborations. Kyoba Rinpoche uses this expression here. And that is because, despite hearing or knowing this, like dependent origination and emptiness are two sides of the same reality, people still think of them as somehow opposed. So when they speak of cause and result, when they speak of karmic causality, they only speak of karmic causality. When they talk about the space-like experience, that means vast as space, unimpeded as space, unobstructed like space, they don't tend to talk about cause and result. So this first paragraph ends with, that is their fundamental nature, which is also called space-like cause and result. And of course, the student's like, oh, okay. But it won't be that shocking, because it's not like he's doing anything like introducing new ideas. He's just putting words together that didn't used to be put together like this. Yeah, so once you hear it, then you go, oh, right, yeah, of course, space-like cause and result. Like cause and result cannot actually manifest if the space-like nature wasn't there in the first place. How can cause and result even arise? Cause and result only arise because of the space-like nature of all phenomena. If phenomena did not have this space-like nature, then phenomena is fixed. Then that which is fixed neither arises nor disappears. And this is not the neither arises nor disappear that you read about, in like Mahamudra or Dzogchen. This is the neither arises nor disappears because things are all fixed. And therefore things are all stuck and things are all determined. And therefore there's nothing else to do. You see, this very like advanced teachings, their language can be very, very dangerous, because in some ways the language that is used in this very advanced, profound language is language that can be used in a completely confused way. Like nothing to do, right? in the context of like the fundamental teachings the Buddha gave, what we call the common vehicle, to say nothing to do is the very problem that the Buddha is trying to fix among his people in his time. There were all these spiritual traditions that say, basically nothing to do, and there are many reasons why nothing to do. Nothing to do because God is in charge, so there's nothing to do. Nothing to do because everything has been determined, but not because of God, but just the nature of things. There's another school of thought that was like that. Nothing to do, another position, because whatever you do, in the end, it's just meaningless. Another nothing to do. These are all the nihilistic positions. The Buddha rejected that. The Buddha says, no, you can change. If you don't want suffering, you can remove suffering, because suffering arises from yourself in the first place. So you have complete kind of possibility of changing. But these advanced, what we call the advanced teachings, Mahamudra, Dzogchen, Zen, because they use a particular type of language, neither arising nor ceasing, like in the Heart Sutra, But if you don't first understand, the common vehicle foundational teachings, and you jump to neither arising nor ceasing, nothing to attain, nothing to, there's no path, no end of suffering, no. Then if you start off no, then finish. You'll be stuck in dukkha forever, And then those who achieve freedom from dukkha would say, ha ha, well, they won't be laughing at us, but if they were, into laughing at us, they will really be laughing and go, ha ha, yes, of course, there's no dukkha, but you don't experience the results of the wisdom of no dukkha by not doing anything. Yeah, so anyway, today we stop here. Chanju Semcho Rinpoche Ma Ge Ba Nam Ge Gyurche Ge Ba Nyam Pa Me Pa